Okay, it is time for everybody's favorite segment, and it is called Dave Meltzer's Dumb Moment of the Week. Okay, so let's scroll along. So Dave Meltzer responds there where PWT's tagged. Hilarious. So Bryan's got to get cooked here today because Bryan Alvarez is like arguing with Marks and he goes, double ouch. NXT 766 and 0.20. And people just cook him, you know. He's such a dumb schmarmy prick. And this is why he doesn't get a pass with me. Because he knows what he's doing here. And he's taking over for Meltzer. He's going to be on the Cope Brigade. He's going to be the one we're playing flutes for one day. Maybe it'll evolve to saxophones or something. But double ouch. This is like the massacre thing. And so Alvarez is getting caught up arguing with Marks, right? So this guy goes, explain what? Explain how last week AEW had 600K and a 0.17 and there was no ouch. NXT does 0.20 and it's an ouch. But you say all that matters is the demo and they rose from 0.19 to 0.20. Only third time at 0.2 or above since October. So this guy's dropping straight bars. And Bryan Alvarez laughs at it. And then this guy's like, no, he's like, explain it or whatever. And this guy pipes in, a different guy. He's like, no, you explain it. You open your mouth. Now finish it. And Alvarez goes, I remember this quote from the Bible. Alvarez is a goof, man. Is he on the list? Did we put him on the list? You just made the list. You're on the list, Alvarez, if you weren't before, right?
Bryan.
And we're going to go over the official list of fools with Grapple Vision when we do the list video, and I promise you guys will love that one so much. Okay, so Dynamite Dave has an absolute conniption fit over Bryan, suggesting that Takeshita versus Fletcher versus the Hounds of Hell had too many kickouts before TNF face Ospreay and Omega in Australia. Dave then goes on a but WWE rage because Sami Zayn had a lot of offense versus CM Punk on Raw. Are you guys ready? I'm going to play the E-flute before we even... This is what we do this segment for. Right here is moments like this. So let's listen to Bryan, Takeshita, and Fletcher are the best.
Then we had Takeshita and Fletcher versus the Hounds of Hell. And
it's a hell of a match.
This was quite a great match.
It's a hell of a match.
But I thought they had a few near falls too many. Because at the end of the day, Takeshita and Fletcher are facing the two biggest baby faces on the roster at Grand Slam.
Yeah, but they didn't want to. They.
I know they.
Yeah, but they didn't want to. They. Dave, you're gonna make excuses, aren't you? Oh, but Tony Khan said it was supposed to be this way, so it was this way.
Never want to beat the Hounds of Hell, but you know what? Sometimes you got to beat people. We just were talking about that.
They did beat them.
I know, but like they're hitting all of their moves, and these guys keep kicking out of everything that they've got.
But they still lost.
And finally, we had a combo.
But they still lost, Bryan. They still lost. I mean, you don't know anything about protecting moves? Why don't you know about protecting moves, Bryan?
Brainbuster.
I actually thought that they did the best.
I know you're going to put this over. I know you like this stuff.
I actually thought, and only my opinion is valid, Bryan.
Like it. Sometimes it's time to get over a team and not the other team.
But this is not one of those times. This is the time where you have to get over both teams.
No.
The Hounds of Hell.
No.
They're just getting started.
They should face
They're just getting started. They're just they're just getting started. No, they're getting started in your dumb goldfish brain, Dave, because Malachi Black left them. So now they're just getting started as a team. No, they've teamed 4,000 times. They need to just be a team and win some matches. They shouldn't even be in this match then, if that's what you're going to say. Right? And that's what Alvarez is trying to say. We have to establish teams. Oh, well, they did. They're both because they kicked out of moves. That's not how you... That just buries everyone, you idiot.
Well,
Takeshita and Fletcher are going to Australia in 2 weeks against Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega, the Dream Team. Okay.
And they won.
Yes, after not being able to beat them with one near fall after another. And you
They
could
had a
even
great
hear the
match.
crowd. They had a spot at the end where there was like Takeshita rakes Buddy's eyes.
This is every AEW. Alvarez is just saying what Phil Marks says every AEW. I'm like, yo, they had the crowd right there in that match. Why didn't they just end it? They had to go 4 minutes extra to get the extra moves in and kickouts. It just ruins it. Like, why don't they just end the match there? Big move, crowd pops, finish, go home. I point that out all the time. Brian's trying to point that out to Dave. It took Brian 12 years. No, I'm just not that long, but took him this long to even say that. And then Dave still is just rejecting it. Fools, man.
Fletcher hits him with the draping DDT. They go for the cover.
Fletcher hits him with Orton's move.
Brody kicks out, and you can hear the crowd like, okay, he kicked out of that one. And then they do another one, and they do another one, and then finally they hit that combo brain button. And you can listen to the crowd. You can hear the crowd hit a peak, and then they kicked out of one too many near falls, and they lost the crowd.
I'll have to watch.
Go watch it again.
Oh, I'll have to watch it back. I mean, I was writing during the match, Brian.
I'm telling you.
I certainly did not see it that way.
Well, you can watch it again.
Yeah, because your taste in wrestling sucks and you don't know what crowds like. You claim you do, but you're out of touch. You're out of touch. And we say it all the time here, Dave. You don't know what people like, what the masses like in America, and you don't know what people want at all. Period. Because even the style you want is not working in Japan, and it wouldn't work in Mexico. And Dave, it's not even about the lucha style with Dave. It's like a combo of the lucha mixed with the Japanese style that he's invented in his mind. Dave, you didn't see that at all because you're out of touch. You don't see reality, what everyone tries to tell you. But he can't admit that. You know, he's demented.
And I mean, the thing also is again, it's like they wanted to give those guys a win over somebody credible, but they didn't want to. Look, they won. That's all that matters at the end of the day. They got the win. In WWE,
well, look, they got the win. Look, that's all that matters. But what about WWE and Paul Levesque?
To give those guys a win over somebody credible, but they didn't want to. Look, they won. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. They won. See, Dave doesn't know what matters. He always goes, well, the key demo matters. The attendance. Did the crowd pop? He always says that. Well, the crowd was hot, which is what matters. Okay, Alvarez is telling you how they cooled them off of the match and what they could do better. Well, they won, though. So those fans in their faces, they don't deserve shit.
At the end of the day, they got the win. In WWE, they would have done it the same way.
No. Would have been much more dominant.
No,
if Jey Uso is going for the title, he is not going to go there and go, that's the story, though, Dave. That's the story.
Yeah.
He lost to Gunther. Oh, my God, this is such gold.
Okay. What about Sami Zayn and CM Punk?
What about Sami Zayn, CM Punk, Dave? What about it? CM Punk, all of his he's like the old veteran guy, and people are like, you run down, you get injured, and all that, and everyone's sort of taking him to the limit, and he's having these knock him down, beat him up, drag him out wars, and that's his whole thing. Sammy's like in his prime, sort of, right? Maybe you could have said before when people were arguing he could have beaten Roman Reigns in Montreal, you could say he was at his hottest, but he's at the level of like world heavyweight champ or just below. Right? Based off the guys he's beaten thus far and how they portray him. So him and Sammy, and here's the thing, they didn't lose the crowd. Like, they went into the finish and everything. And yes, Sammy got offense on Punk, but what Dave's doing is he's just proving that he's not paying attention to WWE. He doesn't understand the pecking order and why that matters, and he doesn't even understand where Sami Zayn is in the pecking order. He's looking at him like that kid from NXT, taking Punk to the limit. Yeah, Punk's older. Zayn's like in his prime. And they're roughly the same level. That's what they've been doing without 50-50 booking as well, for the most part. Seth, Roman, Punk, Drew, Sammy, Gunther, Jay, any one of them could beat any one of the other one of them any given Sunday. Chat, do you get what I'm saying when I say that? Any one of those guys could beat, and they're building that without even having a 50-50 book them. Amazing. Dave, he doesn't actually watch the shows. He writes. I know what he does, guys. When he has WWE on, he's just writing it and he's glancing over, trying not to be invested in that. That's good. And maybe the PLEs he'll actually like watch. maybe, but he's just typing throughout them. And then Dynamite, and he'll lock in, oh, they have my viewership and all this, you know? That's how he treats it.
He got all kinds of offense on CM Punk.
Are the Hounds of Hell
He got all kinds of
and Fletcher it all in? If they're not, it's
and that's just the thing too. He got all kinds of offense on CM Punk. The Hounds of Hell aren't beating Fletcher Takeshita. They're not beating fucking Omega Ospreay. They're not beating any of these guys. We know this. They're like an afterthought, Dave. Zayn is an integral part of all the bloodline, has been for years, and Punk is like one of the top dudes. And the pecking order that I just broke down. So it doesn't even matter. That's literally like saying, oh, Gunther got so much offense on Punk. Oh, Drew got so much offense on Jey Uso. Okay, Ed, like, you know what I mean? We're talking about two completely different things.
Not the same as Jay and Gunther.
Okay,
because that's the story, that he can't.
What did I say about
the guy?
What is the story? Sami Zayn and Punk. Sami Zayn and Punk.
Yeah, okay. Punk beat him.
He did beat him
decisively, clean.
Right, clean. After how many near falls?
They did not kick out of this many.
Maybe not. They kicked. They did all kinds of near falls.
No, not all kinds. There was a Blue Thunder Bomb. There was a couple. There was like two, man. They don't do all kinds in WWE. You can't do all kinds on one show in WWE, Dave. And you know that's why you don't watch it. It's why you don't like it. You can't do all kinds. So I hate this whole, oh, they did all kinds. Name one. I remember a Blue Thunder Bomb. Sammy beat someone with it the week before, and then Punk kicked out of it. I remember that. Other than that, tell me another one. Can't even think of one. And he just beat him clean too.
They did all kinds of close calls.
No.
But when that match was over,
he's lying.
Punk was clearly the better man. Punk was the guy you were like, yeah, I should get the shot.
And Fletcher and Takeshita are heels, so they have to show more vulnerability. And at the end, they won.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
But
so they show more vulnerability by kicking out of everyone and by having everyone kick out of there. Well, yeah, it makes them look weaker. Dave doesn't understand what vulnerability means. That's something you can get across without even a match if you guys are using your heads. So I don't know, man. This is just Dave in a nutshell. Is basically the way this clip right here is just the embodiment of Meltzer. It just encompasses. This is the best example of like why he's just an out of touch old who just is making up as he goes and does not know at all what he's even talking about anymore. You know,
I grew up on Stevens.
I thought the match was great. I thought there were too many near falls there.
I grew up on Stevens and Patterson, and this is what they did.
That's fine
I grew up on
1970s, but that okay today.
Yeah, I grew up on New Age Outlaws. I grew up on Vince Russo 3-minute TikTok matches, bro. You know, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that's the way or whatever, that you can't be open-minded or that Sami Zayn got too much offense on CM Punk. None of that means anything. He just goes to another thing. He just keeps moving the goalpost. Well, I'm just going to argue this. Well, I'll just argue this now. I'll just bring up Gene Hackenschmidt now and Carl Gotch and see if he knows. You know the attendance, Brian? Well, exactly. Sami Zayn, too much offense. Tony Khan.
We got to make stars. We have to make stars.
We have to. And this is why I go, we. That's what these do. It's all in good taste. I get it. It happens naturally, especially when you're rooting for like wrestling to be successful in general. But, you know, Dave and Brian and them started this. We have to this. We have to, we, because they're texting the guy. They're never we about WWE when they're up before AEW as a thing, you know?
We have to make guys that are at another level than other guys. That's what we have to do. Okay, if otherwise, we're not going to have stars.
Guess what? Who's wrestling Okada?
Who is wrestling? Buddy? Yeah, Buddy's wrestling
Okada. Yeah, Brian. Yeah, Brian. He's wrestling Okada. You didn't know that? Actually, he's like, I don't even know who's wrestling Okada. Exactly. Nobody knows. Bruh, like 200,000 people watched the show where Buddy is facing Okada, and that even became a thing for the Continental title, and we know he's going to lose, or even if he wins, okay, then Okada just looks dumb because Matthews loses like every match. He shows up, has a good match with a guy, loses. Shows up, has a good match with a guy, loses. Isn't anywhere to be found. That's how they've been booked lately. And now that Malachi's gone, Tony's like, well, that cancer's gone. Well, Sorry, that was more Dave, but that was like an amalgamation of both. But Tony Khan's like, oh, that cancer Malachi's gone. Now we can push the House of Black. Now they're the Hounds of Hell. So cringe. So basically, Okada, just no story. And Dave thinks that just because Buddy is wrestling Okada, that makes him a star, and that's going to help build him and turn him into a star. That's how stupid Dave is. He doesn't understand that no one cares about Okada. And I love Okada. I think he's a legend, legit. If you look at the history books of pro wrestling, he is legitimately one of the best. When you look at him in his peak, he is one of the best wrestlers, I think, in the world. At that time, you could argue that, just his athleticism mixed with just the type of matches he was doing. They were phenomenal. I agree with that. At that time, you could argue. You could stack him up against like a Seth. Seth no-sells all the time and everything. I know everyone's triggered when AEW does that. There's a lot of that stuff in WWE too, but they limit things or the stars do that everyone else doesn't do. You know what I mean? So Seth can tweak his knee and then go do 4 flips because not everyone's going to do that. Okay. In AEW, that's just par for the course. Just wrestling Okada's, does it give you a rub as far as like experience points? Like check that off your bucket list as a wrestler? Sure. No one gives it about Okada. No one gives it. That title's a joke. It's dumb. It's a waste. What does that do for Buddy? He's just going to probably lose too. And if he doesn't lose, okay, he beats Okada in this match that Meltzer rates 5 stars and that nobody watches. And that people clown on because it's on a card where there's 12 other matches that go 30 minutes with people, people doing Buddy Matthews style. And also Okada's he's just phoning it in clearly. So Dave doesn't understand, like, no, it's not 2012 or whatever. You can't just, maybe not that, like 2015. You can't just wrestle Okada and be over or like get the rub or get 7 stars like Kenny Omega did. You can't do that. And he's not even as good. He's not at that level he was even at before,
Be protected.
Okay, so put him in another match.
He's going to be protected against Buddy. Okada. Watch this.
Yep.
Who's wrestling Okada?
Who is wrestling? Buddy? Yeah, Buddy's wrestling Okada.
Yeah.
So he has to be protected.
Put him in another match.
Yeah, don't have him in that match. Don't have him in the match then. Do a different tag team. You have 4 million people on your roster.
They decided to make an exciting match.
I know they did. That's my point. That was a mistake. If you want to protect 2...
Why? Because it's a television show. They decided to make an exciting match. Yeah, we know. That's Tony's pitch every week. Well, it's just really exciting, and we have the best wrestlers. We're the best wrestle. Thank you, AEW and Tony Khan. Well, that's me, but thank me too. And TikTok. Dave is sitting here fucking, you want to make an exciting match? Yeah, that's everything ever. That's all. Well, Tony Khan's a great matchmaker. Even that's bull. But that's the whole rhetoric already. We know that. But when you're doing a TV show, sometimes it is exciting to see someone get beat definitively, and then maybe like a quick promo, and then a good vignette, and then maybe you advertise some merch, and then you go down to the ring, and we get a match started again after the commercial break or something. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's exciting too. Sometimes that's exciting to see Obafemi just squash him, cut a promo. Everyone goes, who? And then he storms off to his theme. And then you go to the commentary desk and they're like, well, I don't want to be Eddie Thorpe later tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And then, you know what I mean? Sometimes that's exciting too. And you let things breathe and we digest it. Damn, he really that dude up, huh? Like Dave has no concept of pro wrestling show he has no concept of like television either. That's the thing. All these marks, AIR Gold, all these idiots. And sorry, I hate to go hard, but like even Swerve tweeted this out. Wrestling in the physical, wrestling in the ring is storytelling too. Yeah, we know that's wrestling 101. That you don't have to say that. We all know that you can tell a story just in the ring. But the whole thing can't just be that. You can't rely on, well, these stories outside the ring are mediocre and everything's the same copy paste and they don't understand the concept of getting people over, or not everything has to be an exciting match, or that I was explaining with Obafemi a second ago. They don't understand the concept of that. It's television, bro. You have to break it up. You got to throw a hot chick in there who does something other than lose to Mercedes Moné because Moné wants to be on TV that week in the main event. You got to do something. You got to mix it up and not just tournament or casino gauntlet. You got to have, and they are trying to do it. The more they start where people are coming to the arena and the backstage stuff and in the back of the arena and showing the fans and stuff like that. You know, they're trying to do different things, and I do appreciate that. And they are trying to do more storytelling, like the puppet show they did before, which was ridiculous. But at least they're trying some. I even give Ricochet some credit. At least he's like doing something different. He steals the robe. Okay, I'm giving it a shake. I don't like Samoa Joe fighting like Nick Wayne, and that's all stupid. But you give it a fair shake. Okay, they're trying now to mix it up a bit and tell more stories, and they're giving more time to vignettes and packages and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like a whole rebranding thing. There's just ick on it, and then you have MJF bringing up WWE still when everyone's trying to be like, get away from that. I thought you guys got away from that. You have Ospreay coping by pedigreeing a Triple H guy on an indie in front of 25 people. It's just so ridiculous. And to sit here and listen to Dave melt down like this is my favorite thing ever. Also, you'll never see him make any type of excuse for WWE. He just goes, Sami Zayn got offense, not realizing that's a completely different thing. Yeah, I don't know. Let's continue with what he's saying. I'm going off here tonight.
2 teams, have them each do different matches. We have 220 guys on the roster.
220, bro.
Don't tell me there's not another team that Takeshita and Fletcher could beat that's a named team. Don't tell me there's not another team that Hounds of Hell could beat.
Okay,
or Buddy, because there is.
Okay, but guess what? They also did the spot with the fake Okada spot in the match. If you don't have Buddy...
Oh, that one even made me more angry. I wish you had mentioned that. Oh, my God.
Bryan.
So this match, and they're like halfway through, and Buddy goes up top, and they hit Okada's music. Okay? They hit his music in the middle of this match. So Buddy gets distracted, and he's looking to the back, like, where is...
It's so funny how Bryan's roasting it.
And then he gets the heat back again.
Yeah.
And they just kept going. And I was like, what did we do that spot for? What was the point? It didn't cost him the match. He got the heat right back afterwards.
Because Tony doesn't get, he thinks, oh, I know, and then the music will play, and then Dave's gonna go to remind him that I didn't listen to this before, but I bet he's gonna be like, well, just to let him know, like, to mess him up, like he's get it to play mind games. But it's like, no, that's not what Okada would do. It doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. It's so stupid. That's not a plot point. That's not a part of a story. That's not a reason for people to fight. The music could have been distracting for more than just one person. Why would anyone just assume it's directly directed at Buddy other than, well, they talk like they're going to fight, so it wouldn't distract House of Black? It's so dumb, man. It makes no sense.
To set up Okada and Buddy. Because Okada
didn't do anything.
It's to remind people Okada and Buddy are doing a match in 10 days.
We just saw an interview 5 minutes earlier.
So that's more to add to it.
It's more to add to it to remind everyone they're having a match. Yeah, we just saw the thing 5 minutes ago, and how does it remind people? Like, no, everyone's just like, why did his music play? We just feel like their production's botching. We don't know if it's going to be a Taco Bell commercial, dude. We don't know.
It cost him.
I don't know. Where is it on the soundboard?
I don't know.
The match, then fine, okay, that makes sense.
Well,
but like
they did
music, and then it led to nothing. It was just something in the middle of the match that led to nothing.
Well, it's
part of the deal of Don Callis being really smart. Don Callis.
How it's part of the deal of Don Callis being really smart? What? Where the f has that ever been part of the deal? All of a sudden, Marcus Davis Mark Davis, whatever his name is, he's just all of a sudden a bad guy again. And like out of nowhere, he just goes, yeah, here's my new guy. And then people join him. There's no real explanation ever. And people just turn on him. Like Hobbs comes back and just isn't with him anymore. Davis comes back, isn't with him, goes to Ring of Honor, has 3 matches, and then all of a sudden is on Dynamite again a month later and is with him again. That's Vince style, terrible ass, dumb booking, dude.
Came up with something to help his team. They didn't win the match with it, but it was a spot in there.
So they didn't win the match with it. Then why do it? So, it's part of making Callis that he's really smart. So he tried to distract them with the thing and they didn't win the match. Yeah. Well, then he looks stupid. No, I hope that's what Bryan says next. Oh, your reasoning is that he wanted to look, or it's part of Callis being really smart. So you do something to make him look smart. No. So they played the music and then it didn't work. And a lot of people don't even piece together Callis would have anything to do with that. And so it just made him look really stupid because logistically it doesn't make any fucking sense and it didn't work. So that's not correct, Dave.
It's part. Don Cal, is there anything wrong with making the evil manager really
Dave,
smart?
If the music would have led to the baby faces getting the heat, or the heels getting the heat on them, then that's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
But the music hit, the guy's distracted, and literally the spot was he gets cut off, and then he immediately slips out and gets back in control again. So it didn't even distract him.
He should have sold it longer. I do agree
Yes,
with that.
that's exactly correct.
I will agree with that.
He should have
sold it. He should have sold it.
Because otherwise it was a pointless distraction.
Yeah.
No, and Bryan's giving him that too. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. He should have sold it longer. No, the whole thing was dumb. Oh, well, if the music played, then he got the heat back. No, it should just go to a finish. Like, you shouldn't do that. It just seems like the lights are going out when they're not supposed to be, or the production truck's going out when it's not supposed to be, or there's a Taco Bell commercial playing when there's not supposed to be.
If you're going to distraction, the distraction has to lead to something, not the guy just getting back in control again.
It led to it led to the other team getting the advantage.
Bryan, Tony Khan. You know what I mean? Is that what it led to, bud? That is too funny, man.
But it should have sold longer. Yeah,
Listen to that last part. Here, let me play that again. It led to, well, he should have sold longer.
He should have sold it longer. I do agree
Yes,
with that.
that's exactly correct.
I will agree with that.
He should have
sold it. He should have sold it.
Because otherwise it was a pointless distraction.
Yeah,
if you're going to distraction, the distraction has to lead to something, not the guy just getting back in control again.
It led to it led to the other team getting the advantage, but it should have sold longer. Yeah, I agree with that.
Joe and Hook had a meeting, and
and then Bryan just has to suck it up and continue along. Joe and Hook had a meeting. Oh, man, that is classic. Here we go. Tony Khan. AEW has been a proven consistent winner as cable industry changes. Are you kidding me? That's what the Observer posts. A consistent winner and proven. Dave Meltzer says that WWE ran the Seth Rollins curb stomp injury angle to write Roman Reigns out of the Elimination Chamber since he wasn't winning and would have had to take a pin. Maybe. We'll see. I just wanted to throw it in his dumb moment because we don't know. Like, he shouldn't be trying to fantasy book here, chat. He usually set up. So I had to put myself over here. I go, okay, all the way back at Money in the Bank, John Cena said how many dates on the timetable. I talked about this months ago, and Meltzer's just having an epiphany all of a sudden. LMAO, he studies the business. So I write, pardon me, that's what I wrote. But Wrestle Purist and Observer here post with 36 dates on John Cena's WWE contract for 2025. He'll have only done 3 in the first 2 months, leaving him with 33 the last 43 weeks of the year. This means he'll be at almost a regularly weekly character when he's done with the current movie he's filming. So yeah, I said that he's going to be almost full time for like the end run there, dude. And it's funny that, Dave, I study the business. He's just coming to this epiphany. Unblock me, Dave. You would have known this sooner. So Heel Uzi says that Meltzer makes excuse after excuse for his baby boy Tony Khan in AEW. So Neil Baker goes, Dave continues to insist that CW and TNT TBS are not comparable. I've worked in network and local TV for 40 plus years. Nothing could be further from the proof. Which he meant to say further from the truth, but he said further from the proof. Dave Meltzer goes, you've worked for 40 years and never seen a ratings chart? I get them multiple times a week. Cable and network are kept separate. Cable station goals are to be the top-rated cable station. Tony Khan, TBS. Tony Khan.
The best guys, Tony Khan.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Dave Meltzer's big dumb moment of the week. E-flute one time.